What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And the Kansas City Chiefs' path to a three-peat just got a little bit easier this evening as the Washington Commanders have knocked off the NFC number 1 seed Detroit Lions 45-31 in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. And this is a rather shocking development as the Lions were the overwhelming favorite to come out of the NFC this postseason, and the Washington Commanders were a heavy underdog in this game as their rush defense ranked as one of the worst in the league, and a lot of people thought this was a major mismatch going up against the Detroit Lions juggernaut of an offense. But rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels and the Commanders marched into Detroit and took down the Lions. Jayden Daniels was 22 of 31 for 299 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jayden Daniels also added another 14 carries for 51 yards. He was magnificent. He's been having one of the best rookie quarterback seasons in recent memory. De'Ami Brown had 6 catches for 98 yards. Terry McLaurin, 4 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown. And they needed everyone in that game, but the Commanders' defense also surprised, forcing several turnovers and taking advantage of each opportunity they had to build a lead on the Lions, and it eventually became too much to overcome for Detroit. The offensive onslaught from Washington sunk the Detroit Lions season, and man, this is massive. The Detroit Lions, they were the number 1 seed, guys, and they were one of the few teams that I thought could realistically knock off the Kansas City Chiefs, assuming that the Chiefs come out of the AFC. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here because the Kansas City Chiefs still have to take care of business. They still have to win the AFC Championship, make it to the Super Bowl. But when you're looking at the big picture and evaluating the Kansas City Chiefs' odds of three-peating, their odds of pulling off the three-peat just went way up after the Detroit Lions lost. They were the heavy favorites, man, to come out of the NFC conference. And now you have the Washington Commanders, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Los Angeles Rams for now. Winner of that game will move on to play Washington in the NFC Championship. But let's look at some different scenarios here. If Washington and Philadelphia are to meet in the NFC Championship, that is a divisional rivalry between those two teams, and we know that divisional games are weird. Washington beat Philadelphia not that long ago in the regular season, even though the Eagles would probably be favored in that game. Don't count out the Commanders, and I said that even coming into this game when Michael Darcy and I were previewing the Kansas City Chiefs game. I said, do not count out the Washington Commanders. Do not overlook them. They could absolutely beat the Detroit Lions this weekend because their offense is just that good. Jayden Daniels is just that good as a rookie quarterback, and also a hell of a coaching job by Dan Quinn. I mean, he has absolutely flipped the script for that franchise this year as head coach. But nonetheless, if we get an Eagles-Commanders NFC Championship, you're going to have two divisional rivals beating up on each other. And I like the Kansas City Chiefs versus either of those teams because either you have Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs against the Washington Commanders defense, and while Jayden Daniels and their offense have been very impressive, you have Steve Spagnuolo, who has been absolutely nails in the playoffs, and he has a legitimate argument for going into the Hall of Fame as a defensive coordinator. And then the Eagles, you also like the Kansas City Chiefs as far as the coaching matchup goes. And that Eagles pass rush is simply not the same as the one that the Kansas City Chiefs saw a couple years ago in Super Bowl 57. And then if the Los Angeles Rams were to make it to the NFC Championship and somehow find their way into the Super Bowl, that matchup actually kind of scares me the most because of the Rams' defense, their pass rush specifically, versus the Chiefs' offensive line. And the Rams, we know, also have a very good offense led by Matthew Stafford. They experienced a lot of injuries this year, but they've gotten healthy at the right time. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, that's a lot to handle. Kyron Williams. So I'm not sure how I feel about the Rams making the Super Bowl. I think they have a really good shot. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but for the most part, you like the Kansas City Chiefs odds versus any of those teams over the Detroit Lions, because that offense was going to be one that was hard to match for the Kansas City Chiefs if they were to face off in the Super Bowl. And as good as Steve Spagnuolo and this Chiefs defense has been, there's so many guys on that offense you have to worry about. We know that the Chiefs defense on third down in particular has not been the same as it was earlier in the season. And we do know that they're not very good at covering tight ends. And the Lions so happen to have one of the best tight ends in football in Sam Laporta. But now they're gone. They're out of the postseason. They have no shot of making the Super Bowl. So the Kansas City Chiefs' path to a three-peat just got a lot easier. A major roadblock, a major hurdle that would have been waiting for them in the NFC otherwise is not there. You know, the Chiefs versus the Lions in this Super Bowl was the popular pick that everyone had in their postseason brackets. That was kind of one that a lot of people were chalking up, but this is a major development in the NFL playoffs. No more Lions, and I don't want to discredit any of the other teams that are left either, because I don't want to make it seem like that now that the Lions are out, anybody else would simply be a cakewalk. But again, if you had a choice of which team you didn't want to face in the Super Bowl, I think the Detroit Lions would be right up there. I mean, that was just going to be a handful of a team. And Dan Campbell, you know he loves to go for it on fourth down, and he's got a whole bag of tricks. I mean, that just would have been an extremely tough matchup. And if the Chiefs' offense doesn't improve, because that is a part of this football team I've criticized all season long, it's a part of this team that I criticized in the review of the win over the Houston Texans in the divisional round. If that offense didn't step up, I don't know if they would have kept pace with the Lions. But now we don't have to worry about it. So just kind of wanted to hop on real quick and react to the Detroit Lions getting knocked out of the playoffs. I mean, that's a big deal. There's no way around it. Huge news, huge development. But again, the Kansas City Chiefs have to take care of business. I don't want to make it seem like the Kansas City Chiefs are a layup to make the Super Bowl. They would still have to beat the Bills or the Ravens, and that is a lot easier said than done. But man, you can't help but feel great about the Chiefs' odds of three-peating now, and it is so wide open for them to do it. You know, it always seems like every NFL season there's a team in the other conference that you feel like, if my team makes it, I don't know if they can beat them. And that was the Detroit Lions this year. So that was a little bit of a whoa moment. Like, Detroit Lions are out. No longer in the picture. It's right there for the Kansas City Chiefs taking, man. The three-peat is there for the taking if the Kansas City Chiefs just execute and take care of business. But I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the Detroit Lions getting knocked out of the postseason. Did this surprise you, and do you feel better now about the Kansas City Chiefs' odds of three-peating? I want to hear from you guys down below. But all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com for more. And I will see you all in the next one. As always, go Chiefs!